What's up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm a little late as per usual with my Love After Lockup recap. I had a busy weekend, but I did get to watch the episode, you guys. I was looking forward to it, and it did not disappoint. Now we start off with Stan and Lisa. They are coming off this fight that they got into the very first night she got home from prison. On her way home from prison, her son called her, and that did not make Stan happy because Lisa wanted to up and go to her son. She wanted to go see her son, check on her son, and Stan got very angry about that. So once they were at the house, he said some things to her that really ticked her off. He basically said that she did not raise her children right and that she was not a good mom. So she left. So we are at the next day. She is at a hotel, and she's talking about how hurt she is by what Stan has done. She says that she cares a lot about Stan. She knows he's a good guy, but a comment like that is something that is hard to get over, especially on her first night home. She says she knows that she hasn't been the best mom, but she is trying. And for him to tell her that, it's just a little too much. She leaves the hotel. She goes to get her hair done. The lady that's doing her hair is one of her friends that she was locked up with. So as she sits down and the girl gets started, of course, they start talking about Stan. And one of the things that Lisa talks about is the fact that she actually paroled out to Stan's house. So when you get out of jail and you are on parole, you have to give your parole officer the address to which you're going to be staying at. And if you do not stay there, you can get in trouble. So she actually paroled out to Stan's house. So she's supposed to be there. Staying in a hotel, she can get in trouble. So the girl asks her, like, well, what's your plans? And she basically says, like, I don't know. I'm going to have to go visit with my parole officer Monday morning, and I'm just going to tell her the truth. And I'm just going to unload everything on her and see what happens. We're just going to go from there. As she is talking to the lady that is doing her hair, Stan calls her and he apologizes. He tells her that he did not mean what he said and he would like a do-over. She asked for the details. He says, I want a do-over. Can you meet me tonight for dinner and we'll talk and we'll discuss everything and we'll have like a do-over. If she doesn't tell him yes or no, she just says, send me the details and we'll see. So they get off the phone. Later in the episode, Stan is getting himself ready. He's combing his hair, putting his suit on, and he actually prays before he leaves. He actually says a prayer, and I think he says thanks for listening or something to that effect, and then he heads to the restaurant. So he made reservations at this really nice restaurant. He sits down to wait on Lisa to arrive, and he tells the viewers in a confessional that he has no idea if Lisa's even going to come, because from the time he spoke to her that morning, he has not heard from her. She has not called to confirm that she's coming. She has not texted to confirm that she's coming. So he really has no idea. 30 minutes pass and she is still not there. A little bit after the 30-minute mark, she does finally arrive. She has her hair done, long blonde hair. She's wearing a black fitted dress. Stan was shocked that she looked so well. He said that he said she looks really good, and her response was, I know this. So they sit down. He went in for a hug and she was kind of like but she did give him a hug. They sit down and he starts apologizing. He tells her that the reason he acted that way was because he was just grouchy, because the night before she got out of prison, he said he was so excited he could not sleep. So then he got up the next day and made that long drive. And then by the time they got home, he was just in a bad mood. And then the wine on top of it, he was not himself. So he apologizes for making the comment. And then he tells Lisa, he's like, you know, that's not who I am. You know, that's not like me to say something like that. And she does acknowledge that. She does say, like, you're right. I know that. And that's why I'm here, giving you another chance. But you better not ever make that mistake again. And she tells him that she will forgive him. And she will give him another chance, but it will be on her terms now. She says that he needs to step into her world and realize that it's not just, you know, rainbows and sunshine all the time. She has a lot of issues in her world, and he's got to understand that. So he's got to kind of step into her world and realize that things will not be perfect. She has some drama, she has some baggage, and he's got to get used to that. And he says that he's aware of that and he's willing to do that. But then he says he would like to talk about it in a more comfortable setting, and he asked Lisa if they can go home. They can go back to his house To which Lisa says yes, that she will go back to his house. Now, one thing during the dinner, he does ask her, where did you stay last night? And she said, I stayed at a hotel, to which you're going to reimburse me for. And he says okay. He says he'll reimburse her for that, because she basically says it's your fault that I had to stay there to begin with, so I had to spend my money, so you can go ahead and reimburse me for that. And he says okay. He does hold her hand at one point, and he tells her that he loves her and he wants to build a life with her, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to make things right and for them to get to know each other better and build a life together. So they do end up leaving the restaurant and they head back to Stan's house. Now, next we have my favorite slash least favorite, Daonte favorite, Nicole least favorite couple. This picks up at the salon. Now, when it left off, Daonte had went to get Nicole some dresses, and Nicole had gotten her hair done. She had went to the back of the salon to call her ex-girlfriend. And Daonte was walking back into the salon right when her ex-girlfriend picked up the phone. That's where we're starting off on their scene. She is in the back talking to her ex-girlfriend, and Daonte walks in. Her friend, Aubrey, I think is her name, Aubrey or Audrey, meets Daonte and says that she will take the dresses to the back to Nicole. Obviously, Daonte can't go back there because he would bust her on the phone with her ex. So she takes the dresses back there, and her friend tells her to put them on. She gets off the phone with Tia, but not before inviting Tia out. She tells Tia that she misses her and that she just got her hair done and she's looking great and that she's about to go out and she wants Tia to come. Tia tells her that she misses her and that she'll try to make it, but she's not sure. So Nicole tells Tia, I'll send you the address to where we're going to be, and if you can make it, try to come. I would like to see you. So they get off the phone. Nicole changes clothes into this really nice red fitting dress that Daonte bought for her. And then she goes out to where Daonte is waiting. Daonte pays the bill for the hair and they leave. Of course, Daonte, he's like blown away. He says that she looks great, which is how a man should act when he sees this woman all dressed up. She's got her hair done. She's wearing a really nice red dress and he's trying to pick his jaw up off the floor. I thought that was sweet that he acted that way. And then they leave and they head to a bar. Nicole says that she was locked up when she was 18, so she's never got to go to a bar legally and just hang out and drink. Now, this is not just like a bar with like loud music, DJ, dancing. This is it's like a restaurant bar. So they go in. Her friend Aubrey tags along. I hope I'm saying her name right. It could be Audrey. Anyways, her friend tags along. They go, they sit down, they start having shots. And then Daonte's friend Derek arrives. And I'm like, yes. I want to see Derek interact with Nicole because I know he's going to call her out on her BS. And he does. The second he sits down, he's like, so I've got some questions for you. I've been waiting to ask you. And Daonte tells him, like, listen, take it easy on my girl. I love her. That's my girl. Don't interrogate her. And Derek basically said, I don't care what you got to say. I'm going to ask her the questions that I want to ask her regardless of how you feel. So he asked Nicole some questions. What's your intentions with my friend Daonte? And she says that she loves Daonte. She's like, my intentions are to be here. I love him. I'm always going to be here. And Derek is just like, I don't believe it. I don't believe you. You guys have been together all of 3 days. You guys really ain't even been together. He's spending all this money. I don't believe it. And then her friend, Aubrey, chimes in and she says, listen, the whole time we were in jail, every day she was talking about Daonte, how much she loves him and how she misses him and she's going to be with him. And then Derek says, I don't believe either one of you. Derek tells Aubrey that he don't believe her either. He don't believe Audrey, I don't know, or Nicole. He's like, I do not believe either one of you guys. And then as he's telling that to Nicole's friend, Nicole is looking like this. So they're like, who are you looking for? She says, oh, nobody. And he goes, no, who are you looking for? You're clearly looking for somebody. So she tells them that she invited her friend Tia and she's looking for her friend Tia to come through the door. Derek asks her, who is Tia? Is Tia an ex? Have you ever slept with Tia? And the way that Nicole looks, obviously, it was like an obvious yes, she slept with Tia. So Derek and Daonte both were shocked. They were like, whoa, what? And then Derek asked her, how many people did you sleep with while you were in jail? And Nicole said, you want the truth? And Daonte said, yeah, I want the truth. So she sits there for a minute. She's like, Daonte is shocked. He's looking at her like, you have got to be kidding me. So she tells Derek that while she was incarcerated, she slept with 6 people. 4 of them, she said she was dating, so that was okay, not a big deal. She was dating. She was in jail for 4 years, and throughout those 4 years, she dated 4 different girls, and she slept with 6 girls. Now, the problem with that is, and Daonte catches this, is she has told Daonte that she was in jail for 4 years, and during those 4 years, no one touched her. That's what she told Daonte. She said, I've not been touched in 4 years. We were not allowed to touch each other as the inmates, so I have not been touched physically in 4 years. And that was one of the reasons she claimed to be so uncomfortable, remember? So Daonte caught on to that. In a confessional, he said, you know, she lied to me. She told me she had not been touched in 4 years, and now come to find out she slept with 6 people while incarcerated. She tells Daonte while she's sitting there, she's like, listen, those were all before you. Since me and you've been together, I haven't slept with anybody. And her and Daonte have been talking for 1.5 years. So she gets up. She says she needs to go to the bathroom. She gets up and she walks off, but she actually goes outside to call Tia. Daonte gets up and he walks outside and he catches her on the phone at the tail end of a conversation where she's basically just saying, well, I hate you can't come. I was really looking forward to you coming. And then she gets off the phone. Daonte asks her who she was on the phone with, and she tells him that she was on the phone with Tia, and Daonte gets really upset. And in a confessional, he says, I guess because it's a female, she thinks, like, I don't have anything to be worried about, but it's still an ex, so at the end of the day, I'm still concerned about it. They get into a little bit of an argument because it's like you're showing more attention to Tia and wanting her to be here than you are to me. And he asked her, he's like, what do I got to do to get some attention from you? I don't understand. You told me that you were uncomfortable staying the night with me. You're uncomfortable, you know, getting intimate with me, but yet you were intimate with 6 different people in jail. So, like, what do I got to do? And she once again says, well, I'm just not comfortable. Like, I can't help it. I'm not comfortable. And he very angrily says, you're comfortable allowing me to spend my money on you. You're okay with that. And she tells him that even if he was broke and he wasn't spending money on her, she would still be with him. And she says, because I love you. I love you. She says, I love you. So even if you didn't spend money on me, I would still be with you because I love you. And she says, okay, if you want me to stay with you, I'll stay the night with you. Once we get there, I'll see how I'm feeling. And if I'm not comfortable, then I'll sleep in a separate room. And Daonte calms down and he says, that's all I'm asking. I'm just asking that you try, and that's all I want. So they make up and they go back inside to the bar. They hang out for a little bit, take some more shots, and then they head back to Daonte's house. They get to his house. They sit on the couch for a little bit, and Daonte tries to get a little intimate, you know, but she won't. She kisses him a little bit, but then once again, she pulls the I'm uncomfortable card. Daonte, the gentleman that he is, in a confessional, he says, you know, most girls would get out of jail and they would just run to be intimate with someone. But not Nicole. She's a different type of girl. And I'm like, yes, Daonte, she is a different type of girl, but she's not the type of girl that you think she is. She's not the different type of girl that she's like classy and she's gonna wait, you know, until whatever. She's just one of those type of girls that don't want to be intimate with the man that she's using. Because that's what I feel. I feel like she's just using him. She would have already been intimate with him. She's not one of those type of girls that, in my opinion, I don't think she's one of those type of girls that really wants to wait because she loves him. I mean, I'm not buying it, you guys. I'm not believing it. But Daonte, you know, love is blind. He believed it. I get it. So, she tells him that she's ready to go to bed, and they go to separate rooms. Now, once she gets in her room, she strips down to just her panties and bra, and she's running around in her undies in front of the cameraman. No problem. And then her ex, Zach, calls. So she grabs the phone and she runs to the other side of the bed and she like bends down and she tells Zach that she had went out with some of her girlfriends and that she's been drinking and that she misses him and she really wants to see him. And they talk for a minute and then they get off the phone. Daonte, he went to his room and he pulled out Nicole Jr. and he told the cameraman that he needed to leave. So he may not have been getting lucky with Nicole, but he did get lucky with Nicole Jr. So, yeah, that was all of their episode. That was all of their segment of this episode. Next episode is when I think Tia may be introduced to us, I believe. And if you guys I'm not going to say this because it would be a spoiler, but Tia is an important person in this storyline. So we'll just say that. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen on the next episode with them two. And next we have Brittany and Ray. We have Brittany and Ray. So Brittany is at home and she gets a call from Ray. Ray tells her that he is coming home the next day, that he just got told by someone at the halfway house that he can leave the next day. Now, Ray has been at the halfway house for 2 months. So that wasn't a long stay. And during that time, I do think him and Brittany got to talk a good bit. So he's finally coming home. He tells her that she can be there the next day at like 7:30 in the morning to pick him up. But he's got to have an ankle bracelet on. They'll put it on right before he leaves. And the stipulations, once he gets home, is that he cannot leave at all. For 2 months, he has to stay at that house. He can go in the front yard, in the backyard, but he cannot go down the street or around the corner or anywhere else. 2 months, he is on home confinement. So, yeah. Now, Brittany is ecstatic about this. She's like, oh, home? You can't go anywhere? That's great. I'm loving it. She even says in a confessional, what girl would not want their man on home confinement where he can't even walk out the front door? So she's excited about this. I don't know if Ray is excited over the fact that he can't walk out the front door, but she is. Now, when they're talking, she asks, will I be the one to pick you up? And he's like, yes, it will be you. She clarifies. She's like, your dad, your family, they're not going to want to pick you up, right? And he goes, no, it's definitely going to be you. And then he asks, he says, so will your parents be coming over tomorrow once we get back? And Brittany lies to him. She's like, yeah, probably so. They're going to be so excited. But, you know, it is short notice, so I really don't know what their plans are. But they're going to be coming over soon. They're super excited to meet you. But really, her mom has refused to meet him. Her parents are not happy about it, and her mom has flat out refused to meet Ray. So, the next morning, she wakes up super early. Her sister is at her house. Her sister is doing her makeup and everything, and they're talking about the fact that Ray is coming home. Her sister is the only one in her family that knows that Ray is, in fact, coming home. Brittany says that her sister will keep the secret, so she feels confident in talking to her about that. She leaves. She heads to the halfway house. She gets there, and as she's waiting for Ray to come out, Ray's grandma pulls up. So Brittany is confused because she's like, hold up, wait a minute. I'm here to get Ray, and now Shady Granny just pulled up. So what's going on? So their segment ends with Brittany running over to Ray's grandma's truck to see, like, what are you doing here, Granny? And that's where theirs ends. So I'm curious to see where they're going to pick up. I'm curious to see if Ray is going to tell his granny, sorry, Granny, you got to ride back by yourself. Or if he's going to tell Brittany, I can't do my granny like that. I'm going to ride back with her, meet you at your house. Curious to see how that's going to play out, you guys. Next, we have Doug and Rachel. Now, I have some more tea on them. I'll make another video about that. Maybe tonight or in the morning. It's already kind of late, you guys. So it may be tomorrow where I will put out another video. It will be a spoiler video. So if you don't want to know where they're at right now, you're not going to want to watch this video. But I do have some more information on their lives. Okay, so Doug and Rachel. Doug is 2 days out of prison, and it is the weekend. He is calling his parole officer because he wants to get permission to go visit his father for Father's Day on the weekend. Now, the stipulations to his parole is that he cannot be anywhere on the weekends other than home. He can be out from 8 to 5 during the week. Weekends, he must stay at home. But he's calling his parole officer to see if he can get permission to go visit his dad that weekend for Father's Day. Rachel is sitting there, and she's just like, we're playing with fire. You don't need to do this. I wouldn't even be asking this right now. And he says, look, I haven't told my family that I'm out. I've been waiting just so I could go visit my dad for Father's Day. So I'm going regardless. Like, even if this parole officer picks up the phone or not, I'm going. And the parole officer doesn't pick up the phone. So he does not get permission to go. He leaves a message to his parole officer, and he says, like, hey, this is who I am. I'm going to be, he don't say, can I? But he says, I'm going to be going to visit my dad this weekend. This is the address. Just thought you would like to know. So he gets off the phone, and Rachel, once again, she's like, I think we're playing with fire here. I just don't know why you just can't stick to the rules. And he tells her that he's going to go regardless. And she can either go and be in a good mood, or she can go and she can complain about it. But either way, they're going. So they load up, they get in the car, and they head to, what's it called? Kalamazoo? Kalamazoo? The zoo? I don't know. They head to wherever Doug's from. Once they get a little bit closer, Little Dougie gets up front and Big Doug gets in the back. He says it's a very small town, just riding through. If people were to see him in the vehicle, they may recognize him. And he didn't want to be sitting in the front seat when they pull up to his dad's house because he wants to surprise them. So they pull up and everybody, the whole family is there and the whole family is outside. Rachel and little Dougie get out at first and they walk up. And you can tell people are kind of confused, like, what's going on here? And then Big Doug gets out and he walks up and everyone is super excited to see him. His dad is super excited. His dad is crying. And they ask, like, what are you doing? Why didn't you tell us you were out? And he told them he wanted to surprise them. He asked his dad, where's mom at? And the dad says she's inside, but no, like, I don't think you need to go in there. In a confessional, Doug says that his mom is very upset with him and has been upset with him for some time now over the choices that he's made, and they don't really talk. That because she is so upset, she hasn't really talked to Doug in a while, and he says he needs to make it right with her. So I don't know if he goes inside, but on this episode he did not. Now later on in the episode, they're all sitting around visiting, seeming to have a good time. There's a lot of kids. Doug has a brother, he has some sisters. One of his sisters, Ashley, she was actually raising little Dougie for a while. However, it got to the point to where she couldn't take care of him, or she was having a hard time. So she called Rachel, and Rachel took little Dougie. Now, Rachel asked Ashley, so what's it like not having Dougie here with you, And Ashley says, oh, it's different. And then Ashley says that she found some letters that little Dougie had written in his room. And she says, should I go get them? And Big Doug says, yes, go get them. I want to read them. And little Dougie gets very upset. And he yells, no, do not go get them. I don't want you to read them. If you read them, I'm going to be mad at you. I'm not going to talk to you. And Big Doug says, you think I care about that? And he was kind of like joking, but he's like, oh, you think that scares me, that you're not going to talk to me? And he says, yeah, Ashley, go get the letters. And Ashley says he was just talking in the letters about how terrible his life is and how he hates his life. And little Dougie starts yelling, no, I didn't. That's a lie. That's a lie. I felt so bad for little Dougie, you guys, because obviously the kid has had a hard life and he wrote about it in letters because that was probably therapeutic for him to write about this. And now he's being blasted by his aunt to his dad and to everyone. That's got to be very embarrassing. The dad tried to get her to go get the letters, but someone said no. I could not hear for sure who said don't do it, but someone said no. And then Doug's other sister, Crystal, called Doug over and she said, Doug, I'm telling you, Ashley was so mean to little Dougie. She was mean to him. And she told Doug that if she could have gotten Dougie herself and raised him, that she would have, but she couldn't because her husband was a convicted felon. So she couldn't bring little Dougie into that. And then she said, I'm just telling you, Ashley was mean to him. She didn't have to be mean to him. I would have took him if I could have. And Doug says, she raised him. She did what she could. You didn't do anything for him. No one's going to convince me that Ashley does not love Dougie. I know that she loves Dougie because she was there for him. And Crystal says she didn't have to treat him the way that she treated him when he lived there. She didn't have to embarrass him all the time. And Big Doug yells at her and tells her to shut up. And that's where their scene comes to an end. Rachel looks shocked at everything that's going on. At one point, little Dougie yells, stop it. And Rachel has to go over and console him. She hugs him. And the sister, Crystal, was very upset because she was literally trying to tell Doug that the other sister was mean to his son. And he was just like, no. She was hard on him because she expected more. She was holding him accountable, and you're not going to tell me that she doesn't love him. And then he cussed her out. So that's where theirs ends, the whole thing. That's just very, I don't know, you guys, that broke my heart, not going to lie, to see that play out on the very first visit. The first visit where he's back meeting with his family, he and his sisters get into it. His son is embarrassed. So yeah, I can already see why this is not going to last. Why this whole situation, Doug's going to end up back in jail. It's a given. Not being able to control himself to this extent. Something so, I don't know, small, just making him pop off like that. And then the way that he spoke to his sister, Rachel recognized that. She caught that when he yelled at his sister and called her the B word. So yeah, anytime you see a man yell at a female like that and say the B word over something so small, and that's your man, yeah, you better pay attention to that. So next we have Anissa and Jeff. I'm waiting for Courtney and Josh to come back, but Anissa and Jeff, theirs was a very short segment. He's been in the halfway house for 1 week, just 1 week, and he was given a day pass where Anissa can come visit him. They can leave the halfway house, but only be gone for 3 hours. And then he has to come back to the halfway house. So he made the decision to go to a men's clothing store. They had to get it approved first, and they were going to buy him some essentials. Now, Anissa has already purchased him a few things. She's coming over. Her hopes are that she can pick Jeff up. They will go to the men's clothing store, and they can get a little frisky in the bathrooms. That's what she said. She said that that should be a problem for them to get frisky in the bathrooms. Now, once she gets there, Jeff calls her phone and he tells her that he has bad news. That he just found out just a few minutes earlier that he's not going to be able to go on his day pass because he needed his ankle bracelet before he left, and the guy that puts them on was not going to have time to put his on that day. So basically, Anissa drove all that way and she's not going to get to see Jeff. So she's just standing there right outside the facility, like on the phone with him. And she's like, I don't know what to do. I drove all this way. I'm so upset. And he tells her just to calm down, that it'll be all right. That the only thing that's changing is that she's just not going to get to see him today. That's what he said. He's like, it's okay. The only thing that's changing is you're just not going to get to see me today. And she's like, yeah, that's the whole problem. I come here to see you, you know. And he tells her that they'll figure it out. She'll get to see him some other time, but he don't know when. And then he asks her, he says, do you have $100 on you that you can leave me with the other stuff that you brought for me? And she says, you already spent the money that I left for you last time? And he said, yeah, things are expensive in here. You don't want your man to go hungry, do you? So she says no, and she says she'll give him the money. And he tells her that the guard told him that you cannot just be standing outside the facility, that she needs to go up and set the things down on a picnic table and immediately leave. So she walks into the facility, into the gates. She tells the guard what she's doing. She sets the things down on the table, and she turns around and she walks out. She gets back in her car. She takes off, and she's very frustrated. She's like, I drove all this way and nothing. I thought that we would at least have some alone time today. I thought that we would at least be able to do the grown up in the bathroom at the men's clothing store, and that's not going to happen. And she says that she needs a Xanax. And after she pulls off, Jeff runs outside himself and grabs his stuff and takes off back inside. So it made me kind of wonder, I'm really wondering if Jeff is using her. Like, did he even have a day pass, or did he just say that as an excuse to get her there and then say, hey, I need some more money? I don't know. You guys leave me your thoughts in the comment section about that, because the fact that Jeff went out and got it, he could have at least just been like, yeah, just get in your car and I'll go out in a minute and get it, you know. Not that they would have had to touch or anything, but she could have at least sat in her car and watched him come out, and she could have got to see him, lay eyes on him, something. But he waited for her to leave. He actually told her, you have to leave. Hurry up and drop it off. Hurry up, leave, and someone will go get it. And then he walks out and he gets it. So yeah, I'm thinking that Jeff, I don't know. I think he's using her for money. We know that he has before, so to think that he is again, it's not too far-fetched. You guys leave me your thoughts on this episode. Which couples are your favorite? I have to say, I don't know. Like, Daonte is probably one of my favorite people. Daonte and Rachel, I really like those two people in general. I've said from jump, Nicole, scammer. I don't know. Scammer for sure. Doug, using Rachel, it sucks because Rachel seems like such a good person. So yeah, you guys let me know what you're thinking about this episode. What's your favorite couple? Who do you think will last? And make sure you give the video a big thumbs up. That really helps. If you are not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you do that right now by clicking that subscribe button down below. Also, I have a TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram account that you guys can follow me on. The links to those are in the description box below. So yeah, until next week, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.